just matter, and I see your sign there, they don't just matter when we get lynched by police. They matter when we're in our homes and our children are outside playing on our land. So we return not to the scene of crime. We return to the scene of hope. We return to the scene of possibility. We return to the area where we will wage war on injustice against Valero Energy Corporation, against Plains All-American, and against Byhalia Connection. I'm really fortunate and grateful that there are many people joining our movement, because that's what this is. We are building momentum for this movement. We are building momentum for this movement. We have Congressman Steve Cohen here from District 9 in Tennessee fighting for us in Memphis and fighting for us in D.C. We have Dr. Jeff Warren here fighting for us in Memphis and fighting COVID-19 in the hospitals. We have Mayor Lee Harris here fighting for us. His mama was a counselor here fighting for us here in Shelby County, because when we say no oil in our soil, we mean no injustice in our soil and on our soil. Yeah, my daddy's mama. He's rich back there on King Road. She didn't know then that she was raising a revolution. That's who we are. That's who black women are. That's the legacy I know about 38109. It's the legacy I know about women. It's black women raising revolutionaries. In order that we stick to that old Negro song. We ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. We ain't gonna let nobody turn us around. That's what Barbara Cooper said, and got us a meeting on October 17th with Byhalia in T.O. Fuller Park. Can't nobody turn us around. That's what Kathy Robinson said when she started going on Twitter and asking and probing at Byhalia. She said, can't let nobody turn us around. That's what Kizzy Jones said when she works in the military and fights for justice out in the streets. Can't let nobody turn us around. That's what Kimberly Owens Pearson does, earning a doctoral degree, raising 5 black sons and speaking about a dream. That is what black women have been doing. Raising a revolution. And this community is losing its shackles. It's breaking the systems of bondage. It's destroying this idea that we might somehow be, or could ever have been, a path of least resistance. See what they don't tell you. They deprived the community of the jobs. They took the resources and extrapolated them and put them elsewhere. So when you talk about it being a path of least resistance, whose responsibility is that? Whose job is it to ensure there's a community of opportunity, that there's a community of possibility? Whose job is that? And I see some elected folks here, and I reckon you've got some work to do. Because it was just a mere 4 years ago that right up this street there was another pipeline that bust. It wasn't an oil pipeline, but it leaked hundreds of thousands of gallons of toxic sewage into the waterways. See, and the communities most affected by that were South Memphis and North Memphis. Took $250 million to clean it up. When have we ever seen $250 million of investment into this neighborhood? That's what we need. It's time for us to tell the truth. It's time for us to tell the truth. We must fight. We must fight, and we must remain proximate to the lower income. We must remain proximate to black and white brothers and sisters who are fighting for their land and their water. We must remain proximate in this fight for the cries of justice and equality. We must be proximate. That's what Brian Stevenson tells us. And then, y'all, we got to tell the truth. We have to tell the truth. Yeah, I'm going to make a case here. Y'all know we're here because they're taking Clyde Robinson and Marie Odoms to court February 5th at 10 a.m. We're going to be there. Y'all know we're here because they're taking Chris Pilcher and some folks and landowners down in Mississippi to court, and we're going to be there with them too. But we've got a case to make. We've got a case to make for folks who are fighting for their property. We've got a case to make against this country that has been taking people's land without consent since its inception. We saw this with the natives. We saw this with black folks once they were able to own land. And now, without permission, we're seeing it again. Marie and I were talking when she said her daddy told her once it feels like it's slavery times. Yeah, it's time to start telling the truth about the interlocking injustices, as Dr. William J. Barber would say, and Dr. Liz Theo Harrison, Dr. Alvin O'Neill Jackson might say about the Poor People's Campaign: systemic racism, systemic poverty, and ecological devastation. It's time now, as Vice President Harris and President Biden begin to fight for the future of our country's climate, canceling the Keystone Pipeline that we counseled Byhalia.
Yeah.
It's time to start telling the truth about what's happening, and I've got a case to make. No, I haven't been to law school like our fine congressman just yet.
Yeah.
No, I don't have the degrees behind my name to fight in the courthouse, but I'm fighting on my land here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stepped across this land. I graduated from this place. I'm going to be a lawyer, if y'all don't mind for a second. We're here to make our case. We heard from Byhalia and Valero and Plains October 17th. Now we're hearing from our community.
Yeah.
And we find them guilty.
Yeah.
We find them guilty of environmental racism. This community has over 17 toxic release facilities. This community has 3 times the national average of cancer. This community has had a spill, as I mentioned, only 4 years ago. They are guilty because they are maintaining systems and paths that create paths of least resistance. They are guilty because they called we black people, the path of least resistance. They are guilty because, as Scotty Fitzgerald said, my mother bought the property in the time when black people, especially black women, were not easily able to purchase property. We find them guilty of environmental racism. We find them guilty of theft. Their use of eminent domain is a farce. And as our attorney and friend at the SCLC, George Nolan and Amanda Garcia, have been fantastic. And as was just mentioned here by Porter and Johnson's wonderful attorney, Scott Crosby, they are not doing anything for the public benefit or public use. In this place, we find them guilty of theft because this oil has zero, I said zero, public use of benefit for this community. We won't get a gallon of gas from it, and they barely want to give us $1 for the land that they're still in to get. They have pressured landowners for their property by malicious threat, by intimidation, and as you heard, by forgery. They thought this would remain in the dark, but they don't know something about this community that I know. They don't know something about 38109. They don't know something about Memphis and even folks down in Mississippi, that we're going to protect our rights. We're going to protect our land, and we're going to protect our future. We find them guilty of imminent ecological devastation on behalf of unborn children. See, y'all, we won't be here forever. We won't be here forever. And we have to determine if Amari's children's children will be able to go to sleep at night secure, that the ground that they stand on is solid. And what we have right now is an opportunity to determine whether we will say never will an oil spill happen here, or maybe. That's the question, never or maybe. And for these unborn children, we know our water is at risk at Davis Wellfield. We know there are known breaches in the clay layer. They knew this, and they still said, let's run oil through it. Our folks, friends that protect our aquifer and Sierra Club, they've been educating us, y'all. Kizzy, Kathy, myself, Jillian, all of us, we've been learning a lot with our folks at Breach about what's going on here. And we know that there is risk to the water that we drink. We know that anything that is human can falter. We know that. So maybe not today, but we know that eventually an oil spill will happen. And we have the opportunity to do something. Yeah, see, Plains won't tell you the truth. Y'all, they've had 12 spills. The company representatives talk about it being safer. That's what they said. But the Daily Memphian told us the 901 line they had spewed 140,000 gallons of crude oil in 2015 in San Refugio State Park. I'm just saying, they talking about how safe it is. But the Rainbow Pipeline was the source of a 1.1 million gallon spill in 2011, which was reported about in Alberta, Canada. I'm just saying, we got to tell the truth in order that we might get to justice. In addition to the California and Alberta spills, the writer wrote Plains was involved in a dozen or more other spills since 2004. And I don't have to tell y'all how much I like Kamala Harris, but I do. When she was Attorney General in California, she prosecuted Plains All-American who's trying to put oil in our soil. She said Vice President Harris said at the time, crimes against our environment must be met with swift action and accountability. The carelessness of Plains All-American harmed hundreds of species and marine life off Refugio Beach. This conduct is criminal, and today's charges serve as a powerful reminder of the consequences that flow from jeopardizing the well-being of our ecosystems and public health. End quote. On May 16, 2016, a grand jury indicted Plains All American on 46 charges, including 4 felony charges and 42 misdemeanors. The company's charged with felony violations of state laws regarding the spilling of oil and hazardous substances into state water. I know I'm talking a long time, y'all, but we got to make a case. We got to make a case. We got to make a case. They're guilty. They're guilty of choosing an immoral capitalism and racist economics for profits over people. They are guilty of unjust economics as they continue to steal people's land. They are guilty. This company will make $7 billion in the first year of this pipeline. $7 billion in the first year of this pipeline. $7 billion in the 21 million a day. And they say to this community, Mayor, they say to this community, well, we're going to give y'all $500,000 in taxes. They'll make that within minutes of the first moment oil starts to go through our soil. They're guilty of immoral capitalism. They've been continuing to push people to try and allow a disruption to happen. But see, we don't just think about it in the philosophical, folks. We think about this in real time. See, Marcella Shepard in Boxtown. She has some greens that she grows, that her mama taught her how to grow. And we want to make sure that she's able to teach her grandbabies how to grow those same greens. And some of us got loved ones buried here in 38109. I'm one of them. And I got to ensure that their resting place is undisturbed. That's the work that we have to do. And it's the job not of corporations to take care of the community. It's the job of the people and the politicians who are elected to care for the community. These are central elements of our case, but of course there's more. But we will fight, and we need to fight now. We need you to call Mayor Strickland and tell him to join us. We need you to call Edmund Ford Jr. and Sr. and tell them to join us. We need you to remind the folks that are here today, like Mayor Lee Harris, to stick with us. Remind Congressman Cohen to stick with us. Remind Dr. Jeff Warren to stick with us. Wake up the conscience of the people who are supposed to represent us and tell them that we're in this together. You all can do some small things. Volunteer with us. Call me, 901-754-9699. Say I want to help. Sign our petition. Text no oil to 64600. Be with us. And on February 5th, you can be there at the courthouse because we're going to be there. We're going to be there. We're going to be there on February 5th at 9 a.m. The court case starts at 10 at Shelby County Circuit Court with Clyde Robinson and Marie Odoms and their family for prayer and silent protest picketing because we're not going to give up. Local, state, federal electeds can all do something. They can all do something. Congressman Corbin wrote a letter to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And now they're considering what they can do at higher levels to make a difference for this community. Everybody can do something. To wrap up this Dr. King week, I saw this quote. It was one of the most powerful of his that I didn't know. He said, if the inexpressible cruelties of slavery could not stop us.
Say it. Powerful.
The opposition we now face will surely fail. We will win our freedom because the sacred heritage of our nation and the eternal will of God are embodied in our echoing demands. Y'all, if the irreprehensible cruelties of slavery couldn't stop us, then our echoing demands for no more racism, our echoing demands for no more ecological devastation, our echoing demands to keep our land and our waters safe, our echoing demands of a country that considers all of its people not just as rich and as wealthy and as well connected, but consider those folks down in 38109 who might not have all the money, might not have all the resources and connections. If we start to hear these echoing demands, then we might get a little more justice. Y'all, we got to be committed to this fight. We cannot give up. We cannot give in. We will not bow. We will not break. We will not bend because we believe that justice is our birthright, that opportunity and equality and possibility is not something that needs to be far-reaching and far off, but it's something that can be created right here in this fight for justice that you are a part of, and that you are a part of, and that you are a part of. When we say no oil in the soul, we're saying that we we want justice and we want opportunity just like everybody else.
Yeah.
When we say no oil in the soil, we're saying no more racism.
Yeah.
We're saying no more inequality. We're saying no more destruction of our planet. We're saying no more running over black people. No more running over poor people. No more running over white people. We are in this together. Because it is together, help me somebody, it's in this together that we will win. It's in this together across Mississippi and Memphis. It's in this together that we will win. And so stick with us. Stay in the fight. I know it gets weary. I know it's tiring. But don't give up and don't give in. The good book says if you don't get weary in well-doing.
Yeah.
Just don't get weary in well-doing, Memphis.
Yeah.
Don't get weary